Well, hello. It's really good to see you here. I'm so glad that you're here. I am so glad that we get to talk through our microphones and through our cameras and through our computers, and we get to stay connected during this time that we're apart from each other. That makes me really happy. Now, I don't know if you got to hear the service, and if you didn't, that's okay. What we talked about in there today was Lazarus. Now, Lazarus was a good friend of Jesus's. You probably have some good friends too, some people you go to school with, or you play with. I hope you have good friends. I know I do. Well, Lazarus was one of Jesus's good friends, and Jesus loved Lazarus. We know that Jesus loved Lazarus, and we know it by this story I'll tell you. One time, Lazarus got really sick, and then Lazarus got even sicker, and then Lazarus died. That's right, he died. Now, Jesus, his friend, was far away. He was teaching and preaching and doing some other things, and he wasn't there. Well, they wrapped up Lazarus like they did at the time. They would take Lazarus' body and they would wrap it in cloth, and then they put him into a tomb, which is sort of like a big cave. And so if this were a big rock cave thing, they put him into it, and then they sealed that up with another big rock. Lazarus was dead. He was buried. Well, Jesus made his way to where this happened. And when he got there, all of the people were very, very sad because they missed Lazarus and they were crying. And Jesus, the man that we talk about all the time here, the man who does all these miracles, Jesus cried. Do you know why Jesus cried? There are probably a lot of reasons Jesus cried. One of them, though, is because Jesus loved Lazarus. And he didn't like to see all these other people crying because they missed Lazarus. And he didn't like that Lazarus was dead. So you know what Jesus did? He went to the tomb. Remember the big place where they put Lazarus' body in, all wrapped up in those cloths? He went up to it, and everybody was around it, and they were crying, and they were sad. But Jesus stopped crying, and he did something different. He started talking to the tomb. He started talking to a dead person. Jesus went up to the tomb and he went, "Lazarus, come out!" Isn't that strange? I think everybody else thought he was strange too, because Lazarus was dead. You don't talk to dead people, do you? Well, Jesus does. Jesus said, "Lazarus, come out!" And Lazarus came out alive. He had died. They had wrapped him up. They put him in the tomb. Jesus said, "Lazarus, come out!" He came out alive. And he took all the wrappings off, and I bet he gave Jesus a big hug too. What we know about this, what we learn from this, is that Jesus loved Lazarus, and nothing could stop that love. Not even Lazarus dying. And do you know what? Jesus loves you too. And nothing at all can change that. He will always love you. It's not a thing of what you do. That won't stop him from loving you. There is nobody else who can take Jesus' love away from you. Nobody can change his mind. Not even death. Nothing can change Jesus' mind from loving you. Each and every one of you. I think that's a really good thing, and that's something that we can remember. To help us remember, I want to make a quick little craft, and I hope you have fun with it. So let's go over here to the craft table and get started on that. Come on. Here we are at our craft table. I think that was a really great story, and since we want to remember it, this is what we're going to make to remember it. This is a wrapped up Lazarus craft. And he can come unwrapped, and I'll show you how that works. It's really fun to do. All we need are a few simple supplies. So let me set mine aside, and we're going to make ours. All right, here we go. Let's see. Okay. Well, we've got our supplies. Just need some markers. Crayons would work, but markers work really well. Need some yarn or any sort of fabric. I'll show you some other things you can use for that. We need our stick, which I'm using. This popsicle stick. It's a big one. You can use pretty much anything though. I've got some other things. You could use a toilet paper roll if you have it. That would work. You could use a clothespin. This is a really good one that would work really well for it. Or just any type of thing that you find that you can draw on. Maybe even take a paper plate and roll it up into into a person like that. That could work too. But I'm going to use this popsicle stick. And this is going to be our Lazarus. So what I'm going to do, now I don't know if you have these at home, but if you do, that's really cool. These are little googly eyes. Do you see those? Aren't those neat? I'm going to put these on here. So one eye, another eye. Hopefully get them kind of even. There we go. And if you don't have those at home, which I don't know how many people really would, you can just draw some eyes on. So maybe do something like this. I'm going to give him blue eyes. There we go. Either way. Alright, and then we're going to draw a nice smiley face on him. So Lazarus was smiling. He was Jesus' friend. And then I am going to draw some clothes on Lazarus because I think he needs some clothes. So let's draw him a green robe. Put the neck there. Yeah, that's good. And then maybe we'll draw him, what do you think? A brown sash? That's good. That looks like it would work. Give him a belt. Give him a thick belt. What color do you think his pants should be? I don't know if they had purple pants back then, but I'm going to give him some purple pants. Alright. Maybe we'll give him some black hair. We'll make it kind of like mine. We'll make it all curly. Alright. That's Lazarus. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap him up like they did when Lazarus died. So I'm going to use yarn. I don't know if they used green burial wrappings. Probably not, but I like this color. I think it's cool. You could also use some toilet paper. If that's not too precious at your home right now. You could use any type of cloth, any type of fabric that you have. Ribbons, anything really. Just something that you know you can wind up. I think it's easier if you start it with a piece of tape. So I'm going to start it with a piece of tape. So I'll put a piece of tape back here on the yarn. Put another one. That'll hold that in place and that'll make it easier for me to go like this. And we're just going to wrap and wrap and wrap until Lazarus is all the way covered. Could take us a while, huh? I'm going to leave his eyes visible. You don't have to, but I'm going to. All right. Now the nice thing about yarn is your parents don't even have to get the scissors out, because once you're done like that, you can just take it and break it. Makes it real easy. So this is our Lazarus, and we wrapped him up to remind us that Lazarus got sick and Lazarus died, and they put Lazarus into a tomb. But then we made it so that we can unwrap him real fast. So watch this. When Jesus said, "Lazarus, come out," whoa, whoa! I don't know if he really spun all like this, but that's fun. And Lazarus came out. And that is our Lazarus. So let's wrap him back up. And you can make this at home. And like I said, you don't have to use a popsicle stick, and you don't have to use yarn. You don't even have to use markers. That's just what I had. I think you guys can get really creative and do stuff with things that you have at home. That's part of the fun of making crafts, is finding things that you have that you can make them with. Alright, our Lazarus is all wrapped up again, and so he is ready to go on our tree. We'll put him right unwrap him on Easter Sunday. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for making your craft and for doing such a good job. I know you will, or I know you already did. I hope you'll send us some pictures, and I hope that we get to see you again soon.